I have seen some horrible things in my lifetime. War, people blindly following a cult of religion to their deaths, hatred, murder, executions, but the worst, I have to say, would be what I found within that Ethic Knoll cave. People willingly sacrificing themselves so that they can pass on their soul's strength to another has got to be the most insane thing that I can imagine. After seeing a sacrifice with my own eyes, I do believe it works, but that is part of the problem. When did it come to this? The harvesting of souls to pass on to another while the Ethic Knoll takes a tax on that power for themselves? Words alone cannot be said. How glad I am that this group was essentially wiped out. It is, as I see it, for the betterment of the entire world. The Ethic Knoll have been destroyed.
Right.
Now we're free to go back and speak with the gods. All of their tasks have been completed. That doesn't mean I'm going to side with them, as Rimmergan doesn't seem particularly like a good god, more like a god of death. Okay, Rimmergand is the first one I would like to speak to. I want to hear what this god has to say, if he has anything to say. Pray to Rimmergand. I pray again, and the vision of the white plain emerges. The driving wind returns in a chaos of whirling snow. Something moves at the center of the blizzard, plodding but relentless. As the snowstorm gets closer, I see an aurochs, as colossal and slow as a glacier. Its shaggy white hair is matted with frost, but beneath it, ribs like a ship's frame protrude. Visible puffs of air issue from Sagani's gaping mouth. It's the beast of winter. A man, emaciated and almost naked, huddles at the beast's legs. His body is scored with lash marks, and his nose and ears have been carved from his face. His black eyes pierce the whiteout. Iloth leans forward. By the wheel, it's Skane. The aurochs stops and stands before me, enveloping me in the violent blizzard that surrounds it. Though its mouth does not move, the beast speaks in a deep, thunderous voice.
A clan of Glamfelin ventured from the white that wends to find the crack in the ice. When you sealed it, you damned their souls to a slow weathering here, one they had sought to escape.
I didn't know that. Their recklessness endangered the rest of Old Song.
For each there is a season watcher. Winter's shroud covers all things in its time. The heat and energy of life dissipates, and untethered essence fades into chaos. But entropy is a chisel of ice and a hammer of wind. It is not for mortals to wield these tools.
The scarred man snickers. The world shudders beneath me, and a great crack echoes across the white expanse. The ice splits at my feet, waves lapping through the rift.
The Watcher seeks something long lost. What is it you search for?
A low melancholy voice rises from the depths. So, we have 3 gods here, and none of them are particularly good. What is it I search for? The thousands of souls that Theos has stolen
for Utica.
Theos has removed these souls from the cycle. They are ice melting in the sun. Let them fade.
Rimmergan's deep, slow voice echoes across the glacier.
Let them forget this world and be forgotten by it.
Waves crash in agreement.
Take the souls she so desires and grind them into dust. Let her see her careful schemes thoroughly ruined.
Skane grins, still huddled next to one of the beast's woolly legs. That last one sounded a little nastier than the other two. I agree, Ader. For several seconds, the waves wash quietly around against the ice, and the aurochs stand silently amidst the churning flurries.
It is the destiny of all things to crumble and join the chaos that follows this world. Some seek it willingly, as you have seen.
It seems so. But I don't think it is the destiny of all. Some do seek it willingly.
To mingle, roiled and stirred by the tides of the universe. It is not an unkind fate,
Why do you oppose Wudica?
She desires to order chaos and shackle the agents of change in the world. Under her, all things would remain static and frozen according to her laws.
Even now, she only barely keeps the pact of the gods to leave the affairs of Kith in mortal hands. She moves in Theos where she cannot move directly.
And so we call on you to do the same. Such are the schemes of the queen that was.
Skane's laughter is thin and shrill. You would give these souls the very fate you sought to deny the Glamfellan pilgrims?
I am the beast of winter. I neither speed nor alter my path for the whims and desires of Kith. I take souls at the time of my choosing, be it mote by mote or in a sudden tempest of chaos.
These souls, they have already forgotten their place in this world. They have been lost to existence. Let them be memorialized and mourned for an age and then forgotten entirely.
I don't agree with that. I'll seek Theos in sun and shadow.
When you reach the burial isle, we will send lost souls to guide you through the pit. This is our gift to you. What you do after you face Theos will be your choice, but we would have you set the stolen essence adrift.
And whether you would heed us or no, understand that our end comes to all things eventually. Help us achieve it, and we shall reward you now with a power to rival Theos's.
I never wanted that. I don't seek power and godhood.
But do not choose lightly. We forget nothing, least of all a betrayal.
I would hear what the other gods have to say first.
Do not wait forever. We wait, but Theos does not.
Rimmergan continues toward me, swallowing me in a blinding, deafening snowstorm. I experience a dizzying exhilaration, disorientation, oblivious to the landscape around me, and even the reality of my own body. I hear a noise that could be the shrieking winds or Skane's screeching cackle, and then it recedes with everything else. Rimmergan reappears in the distance, trudging away from me, and the whiteout follows him. As the vision of snow fades, it leaves in its wake the flagstones of Tir Evron. I know who definitely not to support, but I would hear what Barath has to say first. Once more, I stand before the shrine and the skull constellation, which marks its dedication to Barath. Pray to Barath. As I pray to Barath, I find myself on the road. Squinting into the distance, I see a short, pale figure waiting for me. At first, I think it's another vision of Archdruid Rethlin, but then I notice the figure's skeletal frame and rictus grin. He stands in front of another skull gate, but way leads down, not onward. He beckons for me to approach. That must be the usher. Alos's voice is low. Behind me is a woman, her skin milk pale against her black hair. She wears a suit of armor so dark it seems to suck the light from the stars. The road winds up a mountain behind her.
A toll, traveler.
She holds out a hand. Is this Barath? I thought it was a man. And the Pallid Knight. Pay the Pallid Knight. I drop a few coppers into her hand, and she closes her fist around the coins. I instantly feel a small weight added to my purse. The lord of this road demands a toll of all, but he lends generously that all might travel his road again. Behind her, the usher grins his lipless smile and waits. The road bores into the mountain, and I find myself in a gigantic cavern. The ceiling curves up and away, and it's dotted with moisture. At this distance, the shining beads look like stars, clustered and scattered in constellations. The usher and the Pallid Knight lead up a trail carved into the edge of the cavern. Two identical cave mouths wait up ahead, and I follow the usher to one of them. Standing at the edge and gazing down, I see an endless, ever-changing plain bisected by a road. Only then do I realize that I am no longer on the road. As I follow the road to the point where it disappears below me, I realize that I'm standing in one of the eye sockets of a massive skull. The usher points to the road. Archdruid Rethlin appears below me. He's just as I remembered him, stern and smooth skin, yet with each step along the road he grows, swelling with blood and essence. His heavy steps become slower and slower until he stops altogether. His distended body fills the path completely. The Ethic Knoll leader. I have no sympathy for him.
You met a dwarf traveling this road. What did you do?
It is the destiny of all mortals to die. I fulfilled the will of the gods. The Paladin Knight's flesh is taut against her skull. She nods once, barely dipping her chin.
It is also destined that all should be reborn, that their essence circulate.
As Reston's swollen body ruptures, the effect is like a dam bursting. Ghostly figures, as hazy and indistinct as wisps of smoke, continue along the cleared path. Some tumble and rush along while others amble and drift, but all continue forward. The usher directs my attention to another figure moving down the path. This time, I see high ovate Arona. As she follows the road, her movements become slow and erratic. Her legs creak with each step, and her feet grow long, thick roots that burrow into the ground. She finally stops, rooted in place.
You found a tree that had lived for centuries. Its roots were deep, and its boughs sheltered many. Why did you cut it down?
It was a parasite. While its branches sheltered others, its roots sucked them dry.
All draw their life's energy from the deaths of others. This is why all must remain part of the cycle of death and rebirth. No creature may be a closed loop unto itself.
Arona's body petrifies below, and the shimmering leaves of her hair blow down the path. You seek another who has lived his lives on the brink of the cycle. He sits on the inside of the wheel, observing its revolutions. With each life, he is plucked from the stream and returned to it intact. Why do you hunt Theos? Theos has entrapped thousands of souls for Wudica. I've got to stop him from giving her absolute power.
If you know this much, then another god has already spoken with you, and given you half of the answer.
True. Theos serves Wudica. She desires an escape from her own cycle. Power without decline. Theos has removed thousands of souls from the cycle so that their essence might empower her. The black depths of her eyes threaten to swallow me. You must stop him, and you must return them to the cycle. Why does Wudica even need Theos' help, and why do you need mine, for that matter? The gods guide souls through the cycle of death and rebirth, but Eora is the domain of mortals. We stand aside, weights and counterweights. Were one to alter the tides of Kith, all would follow. We would tip this world from its axis. That is why Wudica directs a mortal to do her bidding, and why any who would stop Theos must be mortal as well. Understand? So a proxy war. What end would it serve to send the souls back into the cycle? Attending to these souls is a question of stability, Watcher, of maintaining the natural order of the world and the ebb and flow of essence. Couldn't they be returned to Hollowborn? As battered, burdened things, do you mix soured wine with fresh? The kindness you seek lies in giving them a new beginning, not in shackling them to this life. Okay? Alright, how about I propose this? If Theos has meddled with these souls, perhaps it would be better to destroy them. The cycle is merciless, but it is not wasteful. Time and the endless procession of rebirths eventually grind souls into dust, but until then, they must pass from the world and return to it. Their continuing movement advances the cycle itself. What's wrong with Woodica seizing this power? Tell me. The cycle of Kith is a thing of balance. Likewise is the cycle of gods. We rise and fall in the favor of mortals, only to fall and rise again. But Woodica seeks the power to place herself outside this cycle. She would root herself and grow to the detriment of others. The usher silently gestures to the road, where a broken tree and a husk of flesh are still visible. Cycles are changeless and monotonous. Surely there's a better alternative. The illusion of revolution? It is merely part of another cycle, and a painful one. True change has structure, geometry. It is the product of cycles within cycles, 1,000 gears spinning and moving the universe by degrees. Alright, I think I understand what you're telling me. The usher gestures to the road and the starry expanse beyond while the pallid night speaks. I only show you the motion of the universe, Watcher. I don't see what this has to do with me. Theos builds a dam to divert water from the stream. The flow of thousands of souls will shape the world you live in, Watcher. It will also shape the world your soul returns to in its next lives. I must go to Sun and Shadow now.
No mortal can survive the descent into the pit. But there are souls on the burial isle that are pledged to me. I will grant them to you, and they shall bear you down safely, as well as light the way beyond.
A multitude appears at the other end of the road, raising their voices and kicking up dust as they make their way toward me. Return them to the cycle, Watcher. Promise that you will, and I shall give you power befitting a champion of death. The pallid knight raises a finger. Accept my favor, however, and I will demand this decision as your due. I collect from all mortals in time. Having experienced it, I think you would collect from all mortals. I have to think on this, but I actually think Barath has a point. Do not delay long, Watcher. What Theos seeks to do cannot be undone even by the turning of the wheel. The usher points behind me. When I turn, I find myself again in Tir Evron. I see.
Huh?
Rimmergand,
Sure.
Scan, and Andra wish to have the souls destroyed from all the Hollowborn, the errant souls. Barath would have them recycled into new bodies. Helia would have them sent back into the Hollowborn, if that's even possible. Barath says it's like putting soured wine into mixing soured and fresh wine together. Galawain, Abaddon, and Magran want the souls to disperse to souls existing in bodies to strengthen them. Well, I definitely wouldn't go with Rimmergan, Scan, and Andra. Helia, I think, maybe the second worst choice. Even though she seems the kindness. Oh, but all the parents of those Hollowborn children. It's a dark age, I'll tell you, for this to happen. I actually think Barath might have a point. Have them recycled into new bodies. How could souls go into Hollowborn? How many of them have been killed by their parents? Or have animals put in them from animancy? I don't think that would work. Part of me wants to go with the... I'm split between these three. I will have to think on this. I don't know what speaks to me the best, but... Barath's decision to recycle them, I think, is a good idea. But the trio here, to strengthen existing souls, is not a bad idea either. And Helia is all about compassion, about putting them back into the bodies. I think of my father not coming back. I think of the pain that caused me, what parents must feel for the souls of the children born without them. Maybe Helia is right. It's the most compassionate thing to do. But is it the best thing to do? I can't just let my compassion rule me, because that could lead to dark things as well. My master always said to be impartial. Follow the clues. Go with what information you have on hand. Use your intuition, but never let your emotions guide you. All three of these are... I've got a report from the steward. Vicious mercenaries will attack the stronghold in 6 days. Do I have time to deal with Theos? 6 days. That's a little while, actually. Is there a new quest? Yeah. A band of vicious mercenaries is marching my gates. They will attack soon. What about the souls that go into bodies? I would think most of the Hollowborn would be dead, the bodies. Some of them would be alive, and maybe it would make their parents happy. But what about the ones that have no bodies to go to? Maybe they'd be automatically recycled, because they have nowhere to go. I'll never... These ones are all about strength and power. These ones are all about death and destruction. I believe in entropy. This one is a neutral side. Just recycle the bodies, the souls into new bodies. Helia is about love and compassion. It would seem, if there is a god closest to that, it would be Helia for compassion. I think I'll go with Helia. If I can make some parents happy, then to me that would mean something. And some children happy too. Obviously their souls have gone into their bodies. Pray to Helia. 1,000 birds alight on the tree in the temple. Helia's voice carries on the breeze. Do you return to swear your oath, Watcher? Do not underestimate my power. I am a mighty friend to those who are faithful. I swear to return the souls to the Hollowborn children of the Durwood. And I shall remember. The dark wings snap shut, and the tiny sparrow flits to my shoulder. It tilts its head back and opens its beak, and the song that spills forth is like nothing I've ever heard. Melodies, at once mournful and beautiful, entrance me. The world becomes a place of pure color and sound. Each perfect moment follows the next like the lines of a poem or the bar of a song. I've been granted Helia's boon. I awaken, as if from a dream, standing in Tir Evron. Helia's song and the power of her blessing follows me still.